Welcome to another episode of Where the Rubber Hits the Road. Today we have a wonderful nurse leader with us, Diego Rodriguez. He serves as the Senior Nursing Director at City of Hope National Center, California. His journey of 15 years from oncology staff nurse to his current role is really inspiring to me personally. And today he supervises multiple clinics across Orange County for the City of Hope. Our paths crossed when we worked on improvements, improving operational, clinical, and satisfaction metrics for patients. And Diego, I know, is really passionate about that, improving anything that he works on. Um, and that's what reflects when he focuses on leading, developing, and elevating nursing profession, for which his insights were featured in an article, Cancer Has No Gender. Amazing. He can put his thoughts well, and that is my experience working with him. He has also presented at the NCCN International Conference on Cancer Care of the LGBTQ plus community, nursing perspective, and um, the valuable insights, the value he adds to the nursing profession. I'm witness to that. It's amazing. And Diego is also the recipient of the ANA Excellence in Health Equity and Justice Award. So we are really blessed today to have Diego with us. And we are going to talk about many topics like productive well-being, alignment in values, alignment in your values and organization's values. Of course, work-life well-being, psychological safety is a part of that. We are also going to touch upon artificial intelligence. So welcome, Diego.
Thank you for a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that introduction. It is my pleasure to be here with you. As you mentioned before, we had an opportunity to work together, and it was an amazing experience. I am honored to be in this talk and be able to exchange some ideas, and I am grateful for the work that you do. I admire you so much for advocating for nurses and doing what you do. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much and welcome.
So, so nursing is my second career. I started before with in the hotel industry, and I was helping people, but in a different way. I always knew that I wanted to do something slightly different, but that had more meaning behind, and that's what led me into nursing. And so it was difficult to find a nursing program at the moment. I went to so many schools and put my name down until I found one school that was far, and so it was first come, first serve. I camped outside the school overnight, and I was one of the first people to register for nursing school.
Wow.
And so I went through the nursing program. It was tough. Uh, and so I think that just putting the effort into finishing the program prepared me to become a nurse and to expect anything. Uh, as I went through the program, I feel that I was able to validate my love for what I chose, and that was nursing. Um, I worked in an oncology unit overnight. That was my first job. It was tough. I'm not a night person. So by 2 o'clock in the morning, I was seeing things that were not real. But also, I was able to have very meaningful conversations with patients, patients that were not doing perhaps so well, patients that were having internal conflict and wanted to have conversations about not moving forward with their treatments, but they couldn't have these conversations with their loved ones because they would insist that they should keep trying, even though if they were tired, this is not what they wanted to do. And just to, again, hold their hands, being able to hold these conversations, to be present, uh, make a huge difference in the life of someone that wanted to have a conversation but couldn't because people wouldn't allow that conversation to happen, right?
Right.
At least not express what they wanted to do, which was let's stop everything. If I have 1 or 2 weeks left on this earth, let me go and have that ice cream and drive by the beach rather than being locked up in a room, getting all this chemotherapy and being sick and tired and pain and whatever it is that they're experiencing. Um, to me, that was an invaluable lesson that I learned. It also gave me the strength to face pretty much anything, right? Because when you see what these human beings are going through and you look at what you call big problems,
Mhm.
it kind of puts you to shame because when you compare one with the next one, your problems are nothing. And so, I learned to love nursing from day one, I would say, and I wouldn't change my profession for nothing in the world. I love nursing. I love oncology, my line of service, and I don't. If I had to say what I would change about my experience in the nursing world, I wouldn't change anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get that from almost every nurse I speak with, or nursing leader I speak with. And that is so true. You see things that a common person would never see. You experience those, you go through those emotions, you experience those feelings from patients. Um, and it's so uh, unique to the profession. Um, so we talked about uh, psychological safety. We talked about uh, how leaders handle um, well-being, burnout, two sides of negative and positive emotions. But do you think that there are skills that uh, nurse should learn, acquire, that would help beyond the clinical competencies, clinical skills, to achieve healthy growth or balanced growth and well-being in the given state of healthcare, whatever we are going through in these times?
That's a great question, actually. I love that question just because we tend to focus on the technical portion of the practice, right? But we forget about the most important part of it is the soft skills for people, right? Emotional intelligence, for example, being able to manage your very own feelings and be able to be empathetic with the individuals that you come in contact with, and being able to anticipate people's needs and read uh, nonverbal cues that are being presented by other individuals. And so those are the things that can make a huge difference in someone's life and how you have interactions with people. The other thing is being resilient, um, being okay that, no, I don't think anybody goes through life not experiencing something negative, some type of fall. But understanding that that's part of life. And so being able to, again, get up, remove the dust, and reset and say, okay, if I go through this door, I won't be able to go without hitting my head. So how can I go through that door without hitting my head again? Next time I have to bend a little bit and see if I don't get hit, right? And I'm going to try one more time. If I go through it and I hit myself, maybe I have to go a little lower. But don't give up. Don't give up, right? Because that's life. Life is different, and in healthcare is unpredictable. You know, it doesn't matter how much you want to plan your life. You're gonna show up to work, and it's gonna be very different from what you had planned. And so, resiliency is very important. Effective communication, of course, right? Be transparent, be clear, be honest with people. It goes a long way. People, you know, I was just having a conversation with someone who was trying to protect somebody's feelings. But at the end of the day, if we're not being honest, we're not being transparent. It doesn't matter how much we want to protect somebody's feelings. At the end of the day, somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt. And yes, I may not hear what you have to, I may not like what you have to say at the moment, but I will have a chance to walk away and reflect on that conversation and then come back with a different attitude. And the approach is going to be different. And so, you know, those are simple things that we can do uh, to help us. Being flexible, adapt, is another thing that we've learned with COVID, right? Things change from one day to the next one. And we had to be very creative. And, you know, I remember dragging furniture from one side to the other one and scratching the floors and being at work at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning all day. And that just it didn't matter to me. My main goal was to make sure that our patients were safe, that our staff was safe, everybody was comfortable. Had I just sat in the corner and say we can't do this, this is the end of the world, then many lives would have been affected. So being adaptable is vital in healthcare. Um, and finding some ways to always either learn or sharpen your skills in leadership is also important, because that is what drives this world. Is what it takes that one person to take the initiative so that other people get the courage to say, if you do it, I can do it. I'll be right by you. And I don't know if you've seen the video on YouTube that there's this person in a tutu that goes in front of the crowd and starts dancing, and people starts laughing. Uh, but all of a sudden somebody goes and join this individual that is dancing, and then somebody else comes, and then everybody starts dancing, right? And so I think those are little things that we can do that can help us um, and make a big difference.
Two point, 2 points you mentioned. First is resiliency, and the other one is leadership skills. Um, being resilient doesn't mean allowing others to do whatever they want and still get up and move, right? There is a there is a balance, and you must find your own way to be resilient. Um, if you are not working, this is what we have found out. If we are not working on our satisfaction, our own satisfaction at work or through whatever we are doing, it is hard to be resilient. Do you think so?
Of course, it has to be aligned with what your values are. If it's not aligned with your own values, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You have to be 100% yourself. If you cannot be 100% yourself, you're not going to be successful, because you can be um, you have to be authentic. You're not going to be able to bring new ideas. You're not going to be able to build new things. You're not going to be able to be creative And the only way to be successful, it doesn't matter in what you do in life, you have to be 100% happy and do what you feel in your heart. If you don't have a passion for something, it doesn't matter how hard you try it, you're not going to be successful.
Right. You mentioned alignment. You have to be aligned with your values. But there is one more alignment for everyone who works, is your values and organization's values. Um, how do you make sure they are aligned? And if they're not aligned, they cause a lot of stress, they cause friction. Um, so what to do to avoid situation like this, or when you come to know that there is some misalignment, what should a nurse do, or what should anyone who works in healthcare do? It's a big problem in healthcare overall.
So, as I mentioned before, I think it's important to, first of all, trust that what you believe, your values are for you to keep and nobody else to take away. The moment that you feel that your values are being compromised, that is not the right place for you to be at. That is number one. Communication is number one on everything. You have to be transparent. I always say that as long as you are professional, respectful, and kind, you should be able to have any conversations with anyone. And so having conversations, asking for clarification, presenting new ideas. One of the myths that are out there is that leaders have the answers for everything, and that's not true. Leaders don't have the answers to everything. Leaders don't think of every single possible answer or situation or challenge that we can come across. We do the best we can with what we have in the time that is allotted to us. And I always appreciate and welcome someone who says, "Can we talk about this? I know you want to do this way, but have you considered this other way? Why can't we do it this other way?" That is, it provides two things. One, it provides me the opportunity to see things from a different lens or through a different lens. And the other one, it gives me the opportunity to educate people on things that they don't know, right? I have access to information that they have no idea. And I know that we can't do this because of all these reasons. But they don't know that. And so in their mind, it makes sense. And they just don't understand why we can't do something that is so simple and obvious. But it's not always that simple and that obvious. So communication is the start of everything, and we can try different things, right? I can see if I can't get my point across, if I feel that my values are compromised, I have different choices. One is do what I hate doing and be miserable forever, or I can look for other opportunities that are available within the organization that are more aligned with my values. Or maybe if that is not the case, it is time for me to see what else can I do, right? Is it that I need to be certified? I need new skills. I need to look outside the organization. Sometimes that's what it takes. And it's okay. It's okay. It's terrifying because human beings, we love to feel comfortable and always get into that routine that we know everything and everyone, and it doesn't matter how miserable we are. We don't want to go anywhere because it looks different and we're scared of what's out there. But change sometimes is very necessary. And so you don't know how much you can grow. And I've been through that experience where I was scared, but at the same time, I got to a point where I needed to change. And so by taking that extra step and stepping outside my comfort zone, I was able to grow professionally, personally, and do things that I never imagined I would. Early this year, for example, I presented at a conference, and I never in my life thought that I was going to be at a conference of this magnitude where I had, um, I forgot the number, it was like over 2,000 people.
Wow.
And it was huge. And so I stood in front of my peers, and I was able to speak about something that I'm very passionate about. And the feedback that I received was incredible. And, I was very vulnerable at the moment because I couldn't believe that I was able to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, get through people, talking about a topic that was very unique. So that day I walked out of the stage and I went back to the hotel room and I cried because I was so happy that I was able to do that. Right. So we never know what potentials we have unless we take a risk. And so taking a risk is important as well. We limit ourselves and we are our biggest barriers at times.
You are absolutely right. And you mentioned two things again. One is you might have information that your staff might not have, and that's why they must um, communicate. If they communicate, they would know what is going on beyond their um, point of view. So understanding what is going on at the system level, or understanding how system works, how systems work, is a great skill to acquire for anyone. And second thing you mentioned, your door is always open uh, to speak with you if someone wants to. But that is you. You are a leader who knows how to create psychological safety for your staff. But if someone is in a situation where organizationally or leadership wise there is no psychological safety, one of the things they can do is just go find something else where they can find that. But if they have to work there for valid reasons, how what two things they must remember if they are not getting psychological safety from their leadership or the organization?
Two things.
I mean, I just said two. You think they must remember.
So first of all, we shouldn't depend on somebody else to get what we need, right? We only have control over what we can do. And so if I want psychological safety there, first of all, I have to provide that for myself. And I do that by being secure, by being safe, by being okay with, again, my values, making sure that I am being respectful, professional, kind all the time, that I model the way. As I said before, people will mimic your behaviors. If somebody is upset, getting loud, and I get louder, we're not going to get anywhere. Things are going to get worse, right? But if I listen, I pause for a second, I listen to what you have to say. Eventually, you're going to realize I'm screaming and this person is listening to me, right? So maybe the tone is going to start going down. And so we need to model the way to create a psychological safety, an environment where it's conducive of such thing, and make sure that we build relationships with people. Don't jump into judging somebody without knowing backgrounds. We live in a world that is moving very fast and people are quick at judging, right? But we don't know what is going on with this individual. Um, maybe today they had the worst day of their life, right? Maybe they got a bad news at home that their loved one passed away, their car broke on the way to work, their pet that is very important to them is sick or is dying or died, right? Maybe they got bad news that they are sick themselves. And so let's just not jump into conclusions. Let's give people a chance. Let's listen. Let's try to look for solutions, um, and then go from there. But I think that psychological safety starts with me. I have to know that it is safe for me because I am making it safe. And the other one would be I need to model the way.
This is such a critical point, and in the mainstream conversation about psychological safety, it is often missed that it has to start with me. And thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for bringing that out. It is really helpful to know that, because relying on someone else to create psychological safety could be the root cause of failure of that. So thank you for mentioning that. That is such a critical point, and not always told, not always discussed in the mainstream. We move from resiliency to psychological safety, back to leadership skills, system understanding. Um, this is not typically taught in nursing schools, right?
No.
No. So there is a big need there. Um, so one mismatch is you don't come prepared when you come to work, as a new nurse, of course, and you start working, you must acquire all these skills. Either you find a mentor or you find resources where you can get these skills from. We talked about the speed at which healthcare world is changing, or overall world is changing, and one of the disruptions that is coming is, or that is already here, is artificial intelligence. It is everywhere, from making diagnosis to scheduling appointments, and you name it. Um, it has impact on operations, it has impact on business, it has impact on jobs. What impact do you think artificial intelligence is going to have on a nurse's well-being?
Two things about AI is new, and I think everybody uses AI nowadays, just because it's the thing to do, and I think it's great. Technology is always good as long as we use it well, and so this can help us with repetitive tasks like documenting that can be very time consuming for nurses, uh, gathering information faster for us, doing things that will help us become more efficient. It can help us make decisions faster, because we'll be able to gather information. And some of the um, cases in the healthcare environment are based on are very dependent in time and how fast we move. And so having access to this technology can be uh, very helpful. It can save lives, more lives, that if we had to be the ones that are thinking or gathering on our own this information. And so I think that those are the pros of AI. But what scares me is also to think that it is human nature to be lazy, right? And so is we're all that way. And so I use in my example, I know people that have moved to the States and they live here an entire life but never learn the language. They stay in
Mhm.
an area where everybody speaks the same language and everybody does the same thing just because it's convenient. But they're gonna face a lot of challenges in life, right? Because when you're not gonna be able to communicate with people all the time, and you're not gonna be able to know what's going on, and I can't imagine being in that situation. with technology, we can rely too much on technology. And so what happens is that this is not to replace the human. This is not to think for me and make the right decisions. Ultimately, I have the knowledge and the skills to ensure that what I'm getting, information I'm getting from AI is the appropriate information, that it makes sense, that is safe for me to use this information and then apply it to another human being. So AI is amazing. It's great. It has a lot of potential as long as we're using it right.
Right. And so understanding limitations of AI, and understanding what AI can do for um, nurses is critical to begin with. And
Yes.
one must develop that understanding so that it doesn't
Yes.
affect you negatively.
And I'm hopeful that just like everything else nowadays, that we're not rushing into implementing things and bringing this technology and using it without taking the time to truly understand what are the risks and benefits of utilizing this technology and how to use it right.
Right. Using any tool right, using any method right, using any technology right is absolutely critical, because in my experience, working in performance improvement, if you use methods incorrectly, they don't serve the purpose, but they create more trouble, they create more stress. So understanding, and it goes with the way medicine also works. Medicine, if you give overdose, it has effects,
Correct.
undesired effects. So you must understand what the medicine is for, how it works, and where can you use it, and what should be the dosage.
Correct. You're absolutely 100% correct.
So from understanding to AI, we talked about understanding system. If someone wants to understanding a system, being a leader to me means understanding system and um, developing capability to influence it. And you influence the system to meet uh, the goals of your organization. Where should a nurse start if nurse wants to understand system? In by system I mean the infrastructure, the people, the stakeholders, the mindsets, the methods that are used, because as a leader you have that higher view, but for a nurse who works um, frontline, bedside, or in a clinic, nurse might not have that understanding. So where should one begin? What is the good starting point to start understanding the system?
Well, I would say first try to have a conversation with your supervisor, manager, um, explore what options you have within your organization, whether it comes in the form of mentorship or programs where they have and different employees can sign up to spend time and trade places with somebody that is doing is in a role that you're interested in, and then have the opportunity to meet that person, have conversations, spend time with them, see what they do, what comes across their desk, what decisions they make, how they make these decisions, where do they get the information. Every time we want to do something as simple as getting a system it has AI capabilities. What's the process for it, right? That
Mhm.
we need to bring different vendors and see what they have to offer, compare the product, look at prices, what is sustainable. Is this something that will fix the problem that we have for a year or for 10 years? what will be the price to maintain this product, right? Is it a one-time fee, or do I have to keep paying? Do I have to update the system and I have to pay and pay and pay more? Then implementing this product, once we make the decision, who needs to be involved? What is the best way to introduce this to our teams? Should they be involved in the training and planning? Should we have 5 people be part of the planning? Should we have 2? Should leadership be the one that takes, that's never the right answer, be the ones that decide how to implement these things? That is not as simple as going to the store, buying a product, taking it home, and that's it, it's over, right? And so and that is just one example, because I don't know what anyone is interested in doing, right? But I think that is the best way to start. Just speaking with your supervisor, human resources, going to your intranet and see what's out there, is the first step.
That is absolutely right. Start with your immediate supervisor, because that also creates that, I think, the relation you want to build, that you are showing that you want to learn more, which is absolutely going to help you as an individual, and also your organization. So focusing on the common areas for growth between you and your organization is the key, I think, when one wants to grow, and that growth must be aligned.
I
So
agree.
that is so important, so important. One final question. What does Diego do? What do you do uh, to maintain, to keep experiencing well-being at work? And let me clarify the question. What we talk about is productive well-being, and productive well-being is something where you balance productivity and you balance experience of well-being for yourself. So giving the best to the organization and giving the best to yourself is what productive well-being is about. Um, so what do you do? What do you practice?
So that's a great question. I am a creature of habits. I have my own routine. I have to get up really early in the morning. People think I'm crazy, but this is what works for me, right? And so I think that is the most important thing. Think about what works for you, not for me. And for me, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning is a pleasure. For other people, it's not, and that's okay, right? Some people like to stay up all night. I can't. So getting up early in the morning, having that moment to gather my thoughts, to meditate, to listen to a message, to prepare myself physically, mentally, spiritually for the day is vital. If I don't have that, I won't have a good day. So that is vital for me. At work, it is important to always make sure that I don't lose the passion for what I have, what I love doing, right? I don't ever want to lose that. That is perhaps one of my biggest fears, to lose the passion for what I do. I always want to have that light inside that keeps me going, have that purpose. Being honest, it's not always going to be easy to be honest, to speak up, to be transparent, to challenge people at all levels. It's difficult at times, but it's what's aligned with my values. and it has given me some headaches, but it also opened many doors. And so, always finding a way to learn something new, because I don't want to get stuck in to doing the same thing over and over and over again. That scares me. I get bored, so I always want to try to do something else. I am my best when I have too many things going at the same time. When it's chaotic, I can do really good. I like to connect with people. I like to talk to people. I like to listen to people. I like to help them when I can. Uh, I try my very best to practice kindness as much as I can. As I said earlier, I think we need to practice and model what we preach, and that is important for me. Um, Mentoring people, I really like mentoring individuals. Uh, even if there isn't, I remember I had this supervisor who wanted to transfer to my department, but she didn't have what I needed at the moment, and I wasn't able to give her the opportunity, but I was able to give her other opportunities, right? Mentoring her, fixing that CV to look more appealing for other people, practicing interview questions and behaviors, and seeing that person getting the job that she was looking for. And so those are the things that fill me. When you do something good and affect somebody in a positive way, is what I love doing. And so that's what keeps me going. Uh, you know, I need to do a little better at remembering that there are other people that need me outside work, and sometimes I get a little too focused on work. But that is something that I have to work on. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, you have to do what fills your heart. If you don't do that, then life is a lot more difficult. Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so, as long as you have that opportunity to do what you love doing, everything else will fall apart and will happen organically for you.
yes, absolutely. It must fill your heart. It must be fulfilling. And that's the secret for being well in your work life and also being productive. Like you mentioned, you are productive when things are chaotic. You can do much better. That is your style. But you have found a way that works for you to work in situations like this or environments like this. And one must find that way for themselves, um, which ultimately helps a lot moving forward, right?
Yes, and be honest with yourself, right? And also understand that I don't have the answers for what works for you. I can share with you what works for me, right? Like I said, I can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's a pleasure for me to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't work for everybody. So when people come to me and they're asking me, how did you get to your role, your position? What do I need to do? You tell me a little bit about yourself. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Is this really what you want to do? What do you think this role is, and that what you can do with this position? I don't know. You have to tell me what works for you.
Yeah, you have to tell me. For that, you have to know. For that, you have to reflect. And for that, you have to analyze. After you reflect, what works, what doesn't work. Um, Great insights, great insights. It was a lovely conversation. Thank you very much for your time. And
Thank you.
it has always been a pleasure working with you, improving uh, operational metrics or experience, patient experience, staff experience. But the way you summarized your insights, your learnings, your understandings, it is just amazing. And that's what um, makes you a leader one should have. You are a great mentor, and because you understand, you have learned, you have developed that understanding of system, how systems work, how you work in the system, how the interactions go on. And to me, that's a sign of a great leader. So thank you for
Thank you
your
very
time today, and would love to catch up with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Keep doing the great work that you're doing, advocating for nurses. We need more of you in this world, and I'm really, really grateful for the work that you're doing. It means a lot to me. And you're not a nurse, but you are an honorary nurse in my eyes. And so, again, thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it. And I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people that are going to benefit from the work that you're doing. So don't stop. Keep going.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.